may tubig na doon, no?
Sister.
Yung sa ano, Doble no Netherlands. Sa Diego Garcia. Bakit hindi na?
Hi.
Siguro, Robert, bigyan na kami ng ibang inputs, no? Habang wala pa yung ating,
Good morning. I'm Robert. I'm also a director of the Philippine Inventor Society. I've been working on climate change, and also environment and energy. I have good news and bad news for you guys. The good news is, mawala na ng baha sa Manila.
The bad news is,
tulubog na Manila. The World Bank and the JICA specifically mentioned
bad news and good news yun.
Metro Manila will sink. Metro Manila will sink. Listen, 60% of Manila is below sea level. Manila, wrong. Number two, the Americans came, they put esteros, 40 kilometers of esteros all over Manila. Now, they're only 20 kilometers. With 20 kilometers, ginawa na real estate. 100,000 per square. Diba? Pero hindi na yung issue ngayon because of climate change, icebergs are melting. Worldwide.
Ay, opo.
Okay? Dati, ngayon, pag high tide, nagwagwa, dito tubig.
Sige po.
Pag high tide, bagyo, tigil na mga pump. Buwabalik lang.
Opo.
Sa Mandaluyong, where I come from, sa munisipyo, 8 billion. Sinukay, tumubog. Sinukay ulit, tumubog ulit. Sinukay, pangatlong beses, tumubog pa rin. Ano yan? Mandaluyong. Sa munisipyo. Because, below sea level.
Mandaluyong sa loob o sa labas?
Kami yung acres namin, doon po galing. Okay. So, having said that, akala ng tao, problema ang baha. Hindi siya. There's a bigger problem. Wala ng tubig. This is worldwide. 60% of the water in Manila is used for, in the Philippines, it's used for industry. 30% for agriculture, 10% lang for drinking and washing. And most people are only concerned about drinking and washing. FYI, sa Ordinata Village, pag summer, 2 hours na ng tubig. Kinukuha ng mga hotel. Dati 10 big houses sa Makati, biglang 80 stories. That's one small city. Where do you get the water? You take the MRT, 7 dozen high-rise buildings. Saan mo na ng tubig? And we are doubling our population due to demand. Okay? 97% of our water in Manila is coming from Angat. And Angat is dead. And we are doubling our population. So, what Bulacan did, they pump water for their fish ponds. So what happened? Now Bulacan is sinking. It's called subsidence. So they went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled last year, and I quote, Bulacan should get its share of water. What now, Manila?
Bulacan?
Okay?
Lulubog ang Bulacan?
Mulubog na. Subsidence. Na pumping too much water. In fact, right now, as we speak, out of the 12 municipalities in Alabang, in Muntinlupa, 11 is about to collapse. So these are two problems. Water and
11? 11
out of 12. So 11 out of 12.
Oo, wag na.
Anong mga area siya?
Barangays. Because they pump too much water from
All Bulacan?
All bag trees, I can show you. Barangays? Okay, put na yung bag ko.
All area in Bulacan?
Scary yan. Buti lang, naimbita kita.
I do research. I've been researching for the past 20 years, and it's here.
But nobody listens. Yan ang mahirap sa mga gobyerno eh.
Dito kaya to kasi
Muntinlupa, they sink due to obstruction of water. This was 5 years ago.
sa isang listang bansa.
So anong solusyon? Sabi ng ating public works secretary si Villa,
Para sa lahat.
transfer Manila. Sabi ng ating MMDA, Mr. Balitaan. So, my God, 5,000 water, di ba ilipat eh? 15 million people pa. You know, get real. Sabi nga ni Mr. Mike Abe, when they get spoke lady ni Tolentino. Remember? I cannot forget that. Sabi niya, floods is an engineering problem. What's a lawyer doing on top of it? Correct? And I love you for that. Okay, what do you do? Pass legislation? Di ba? Okay. Second solution. Kita ka sa Manila, ginawa sa Acacia Lane, lumubog yung mga bahay. Ginawa sa UST, lumubog yung mga bahay. Ginawa sa Taguig, lumubog ang mga bahay. Third solution na Kaya niyo si Eddie? Eddie ako. It's Lower Manila Bay. Lower Manila Bay, 2 meters lower than Manila.
Dapat alam mo, hinuhukay
How do you do
yung mga
that?
tubig eh.
Are you familiar with Corridor, everybody?
Yes.
Corridor is Cavite, Bataan?
Cavite.
Okay, boss people sing Bataan.
Cavite yan.
So, the mga Manila Bay, I proposed 20 years ago, nagprubahan ni Cory nung araw, saray yung Manila Bay, 24 kilometers, bibig. Of course, you have ship locks in between Carvalho and Corridor para yung mga barko makapasok makalabas. I spent a small fortune dati, I had 3 cars. Ngayon, ang kotse ko, Gitek, Treta. So, I spent big money here because it's the only solution. Now, what happens when you have a dam there? 5 things happen. 1, wala ka ng high tide. As I said, pag high tide, bawat ito yung big, tandaba, we never disappear. 2, Manila Bay becomes a saltwater lake, but saltwater is stratified. Bababa siya. Sa ilalim ng dam, ipapampo siya one-way valve. Salt fresh, salt out.
Thank you.
35 rivers and creeks are discharging 16 billion liters of fresh water to Manila Bay every day. Manila only needs 10, sobrang pasana eh. Gotta mix it with the salt. So now we have fresh water. 60% industry, filter. 30% agriculture, 4 filters. 10% drinking water, purified. But we have water for the whole Central Luzon for the next 3-5 generations. Okay? 4. Pag summer, mainit, nag-evaporate. So baba mo siya ng 1 inch a week. Manila Bay, Manila. When Manila Bay is 2 meters lower than Manila, what happens? Baha. The government will save tens of billions on road racing, shoring, pumping, crops destroyed, cars destroyed, property destroyed, sickness after difficult, man hours lost, business interrupted, getting worse and worse. 20 years ago, they were laughing at me in Illinois. Illinois almost 120 billion. 20 billion. 120 billion. Pedring, remember Pedring? Tubig sa Rosbury, hanggang dito. Lahat ng mga kotse sa mga moto sa ilalim sa ME Pilar, scrap lahat. We don't even pay. 3 days under salt water. Now, before I spoke to Mr. Tolentino, he's saying that we wrote him a letter, he never answered, but you know, I said he was going to ask, he never did. But anyway, the point is, 2 weeks after putting Habaka, she stormed with no name. Guess what? I texted all my friends. Metro Manila Club advisory. All roads are now passable by boat.
Okay. Okay ka.
And it's getting worse and worse. Dati pa ngayon, pati Elsa, Patrick National, mulubog na ngayon.
Oh, grabe.
sports ka na eh. Lulutang yan.
So, ang
Yung
tawag
kotse
ito.
ni ano.
What now I have, according to Cory, she approved it. Public Works got hold of this study, claiming it's for the public. Sorry, Mr. De Jesus. We're having cooperated and patented. We brought it to Citra. Jambo approved it, but we want to step down. I brought it to Itatay. Said, we have the money, we have the cloud. What do you want? Ooh. Pumutok naman yung Datu ng pakamahal na highway. So, you get it. Ramos approved it, but Jody Menezes blocked it because he thought he was going to be president. I brought it to Iraq, Rotary President ako, member namin si Iraq. Approved na. Natandang si Iraq. Ayoko na sana, wala na akong pera, wala na akong buhok eh. Pumutok ang mundo eh. So I was on television, GNN, UMCB, blah blah. Now, there's no other solution. Okay? Because even today's papers, it's saying it. Star, Manila, vulnerable to climate change. We need resilience. Okay. Here's the beautiful part. Everybody's saying it's too expensive, blah 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 blah. How do you get your money back? Simple. When water rises, land disappears. When water goes down, yung nakalubog lalabas. Around Manila Bay. We're talking of 300,000 hectares around Manila Bay and Laguna de Bay. They're all both connected. Worth $500 billion. God continues to make people stop making land. Now water is the biggest problem right now, worldwide. And they're predicting the next world war will be on fresh water. And having said that, one famous architect, I won't mention the name, he said his solution was the only one.
Polapax, Palopox.
No comment. So from San Mateo to Laguna de Bay to Manila Bay with the highway on top, and that's my solution. So I asked him, how do you explain 9 months after Undoy, Laguna de Bay, the environment was still underwater? Sabi niya sa akin, oh nga Robert, bakit? Because Manila Bay is right na lang divide. Wala na labas ang tubig. Ibaba mo to, labas yun. Now it's claiming for his own. But you know, I went on a CYA approach covering us. I had it copyrighted, patented, received by Malacanang, received by DNR, received by MDA, received by Mr. Gasmin. Because no water in floods is a potential national security nightmare. And it's happening now. Now there's no more water. And people are, in the Philippines, sorry to say, opinion is the cheapest commodity. Everybody's saying, no, you better go to desalination. My goodness, you know what's desalination? Oh, it's a Saudi because they have oil. 80 cents per cubic. Can you imagine? 80 cents. That's how much? 30 pesos per cubic. Can you afford 10,000 per sack of rice? And you have kidney problems. But we have fresh water, for God's sake. All going to Manila Bay. I was in Tesla, I spoke there. Mr. Jamsi Supsup was there and all of these people. I explained to them with Mr. Our friend from Bulacan. Okay? And I explained to them the situation, and they agree. And even the head of the public works, Mr. David, agreed with me. This is the only solution. And you're right. The ambassador from Holland agrees with me, Mr. Briggs. Put a dam in the mouth of Manila Bay. And by the way, I forgot to mention, you can also put a highway on top of the dam. You can drive from Cavite to Bataan and vice versa without passing EDSA. And then you should now put a highway around. Because Manila is designed to be the center of education, finance, tourism, whatever, but not for ports. Transport the ports to Subic and bring them by rail. That's the only solution. Otherwise, it will be a big parking lot soon. Any questions?
Magkano magagastos na yung pinapropose mo? At saka yung plasma technology. Kaninong plasma technology gagawin?
Plasma?
Yes. Plasma technology, for your information, is the only solution because, unbeknownst to you, we have 40 million tons of nuclear waste in Subic, which the American left. And people are dying. One more generation, they'll forget about it. Plasma is burning. I'm an engineer, so I'm just sharing.
Kanino ang plasma technology?
There is one in France, there is one in the US. We have now one in Balitaan, for your information, very Balitaan. And we are being dumped with
Wait, Canada. From Canada.
We only found out now, but you know it's been going on. It's been giving us hospital waste, for God's sake.
Highly toxic.
Wow, I tell you.
Magkano ngayon ang pag-usapan niya?
I'll separate them. We have to know. Basta ang importante lang, may kikitain. One is lupa. Pangalawa is savings. Tens of billions will be saved every year. Because we have about how many storms a year? 20 na big storms. And Ondoy cost us 110 billion. Ondoy pa lang yan. Can you imagine? Madring, Sendo, and all of this. Yes.
Robert, sabi mo, lulubog yung buong Maynila. Sa ngayon, napakaraming ini-install ng mga building dito sa MOA lang, no? Napakarami. So, what will happen to these constructions kung mangyayari yan?
You be the judge. You go there. Pantay na yung ocean sa MOA eh. So, what's keeping it there? Pumps. At what cost? It's not rocket science. It's worldwide. You know, in Sulu, islands are disappearing. Fiji, it's everywhere.
Pacific Ocean.
Pacific Ocean.
Dami.
Icebergs are melting, accelerated with the climate change. Stop global warming. Do something about it. Do something. Resilience. This is it. Because 60% of the population will be around cities, especially in Central Luzon.
What about yung mga structures na ginagawa ng China sa South China Sea?
Yes.
Anong logic nun?
Well, three things yun, in my opinion.
Bakit sila...
One, if only Pinoy will talk to them, I think they're willing to join.
Hindi yan.
Not political.
Political. Huwag kang naglalagay sila ng structure from just a stone or brick ba yun?
They want to control the area.
Hindi papapasukin ng tubig yung area na yun.
There's a good possibility to have tsunami, so good news.
Tsunami.
So, the thing is, they're killing our marine life.
Tsunami area ba yun?
Reclamation.
And we need our oil. So we're really rich. I have the copyright for Idjirani.
May pagkain doon.
Idjirani. The only thing that can stop climate change is Idjirani.
Ang stable ng deuterium pagka binibina eh.
I have the copyright, I have the patent na probahan. Now I'm talking again to them because I intercept if I make a Idjirani, for your information, is found in the Philippine deep, 10 kilometers down, 10,000 psi. Anything you send there will collapse. A lot of people have opinions. I have to cover how to get it because I took up courses in thinking, etc. Having said that, 565 liters of pure gasoline in energy, 1 liter of deuterium.
Wow.
And the byproduct is pure water. They're saying climate change.
Maybe
You know, there are
hydrogen.
articles now. It's not in the climate change. It's really the this, that. But it's really right now as we speak, Germany and Japan stop nuclear because you have to put it down in the ocean, and it's already hot. And as for your information, 60% of our marine life worldwide dead, gone. It's getting worse. Now, they stop, but they don't have any. There is no solution for this energy needs that they have. And in my opinion, it's deuterium. It's to make us the richest country in the whole world.
Isang engineer na nakabase sa US ng mga aral yan, Filipina engineer, deuterium. Meron silang extraction na kailangan.
Well, I have the copy and how to get it, and I can prove it. And in fact, I have already been research now. If you talk to people and old doctor, you will teach with the knowledge that learned 20 years ago. Mine is now. Okay? In fact, right now, as we speak, there is now nanotechnology.
Oo, yan matindi.
200 times stronger than steel.
Grabe yan.
I'm into that. Okay?
Nano.
Nanotechnology.
To give you an idea what nano is. Okay, okay. Nano, to give you an idea. Okay? For the uninitiated.
Hydrocarbon.
Uninitiated. One dot in the ball pen. Okay? And nanotechnology is equivalent to one marble to the size of the earth. So one atom can do it. 100 times stronger than steel. Can withstand any pressure. Number two, there is some technology that I copyrighted. You know, they wanted to get it. To learn. But the point is, that is why there's also mineral power. 1978, for your information, I was with Smith Bell at the time, with Gina Barra, we went to Colonel Kama. And Colonel Kama said, you know why we brought up that massive thing in Davao? Hotel better than Intercon? Because of American tourists. What kind? Military. What kind? Navy. What kind? Frogmen. Because at the time we had our nuclear subs in the Philippines. Intercontinental ballistic missiles. No, passing to the equator. No interference. That's how deep it goes. That's how deep it goes. So there are, as she said, it's all cover. But the real story there is energy. The future of energy is fusion. Fission is out. Fusion is in. The future of banking is energy. And water.
Thank you, Pinsan.
Any questions?
Pinsan.
Professor, you look like you're speaking something.
Hindi mo ako bigyan ng ano.
Ganda ba?
Tama yung sa California ngayon, ang laki ng problema nila. Dahil nakalimutan nila yung magdal ng sagaling na Amerikano, big drought. Big drought. Tapos, hindi sila nakapagawa ng mas malaking dam. Samantalang meron silang mga tactician doon, mga analyst na gumagawa ng mga ganyan klase ng future problem to solution. Ngayon na. Nothing.
The next war will be on fresh water. In fact, this may interrupt you. When Egypt said to Ethiopia, you're taking too much water from our Nile. Sabi Ethiopia, gago ka ba? Sabi galing ang Nile. From now on, you pay or we divert. Okay? Just so you know, India is using 78% of its water on agriculture. In Philippines, only 30%. But we're importing rice from India. Ano yung sabihin nun? Ngayon sinabi mo, yung sa Vietnam, China, they will die. When once China puts up another dam, ay wala na, patay na.
Engineer, how about this solution from Muammar Gaddafi?
Which is,
He created the underground river from the Sahara Desert to the capital, Tripoli. Oh, he did a good job, you know.
It's correct.
Yeah, he's still
Tama yung sa niya.
but it will only be short-lived because population is growing.
The solution is nanotechnology.
60% is for energy.
They have a
If there's no water,
Combine hydrogen with oxygen, they have water.
30% for agriculture. When there's no water, food is very
The
short.
byproduct is
So I
hydrogen, use it in
Mr. Kasmin,
as energy.
no water,
To
and
produce
that's
again
a potential
water.
national
This is
security
hydrogen.
nightmare.
Nagaling mo yan, ha? Right.
Matanong ko lang bilang inventor, di ba sabi nila para daw bumalik yung magandang takbo ng tubig eh, kailangan palalimin mo yung kinalalagyan nito. Totoo ba to? Kasi kung ganun yung solusyon, bakit hindi nila ginagawa?
Okay, FYI, we are now honeycomb Manila with sinkholes.
Hindi, sabihin yung mga
Okay.
Sinkholes.
May puno, pinutol mo, sinemento mo, nilabas mo yung tubig, para napasok ulit.
Oh.
Kaya sumasayo ang MRT ngayon. Sumasayo ang Magallanes. Yung cathedral, babagsak na. That's why PCS left QI, babagsak na QI.
Oh my God.
It's all over the place. The National Library is about to collapse anytime. Pag may bagyo, ano naman ba?
Your proposal, no, to
Down to Manila.
to make dams is actually against the law of nature, wherein we have rising waters now.
Yes.
It's against nature. Even the advanced countries are not in favor of that. What they want is to accept that reality. Probably that was accepted by Venice. Instead of making dam around Venice, they allowed it to sink and convert it into a tourism industry.
Not anymore. The latest now. All the wala na. Venice now. Wala na. Mabahay ko, lumubog na.
Oo nga. But so they converted it into tourism, and they're earning a lot from that.
Before, now it's not anymore. Because they're disappearing already. And Manila will be a big Venice. FYI, Manila used to be only up to, for information, alam yung Quezon City Welcome, doon ang tubig.
Oh my God.
So we have to prepare for that. And you say when we build.
What law of nature are talking about? Sorry, I'm a naturalist, okay?
No, climate change. You have just raised about climate change. We need to say out of the climate change we will have rising water.
You would rather have less rising water, let's make it disappear, and then what happens? Is that people will die, and then poor people will have no access to clean water? That's not nature. I'm into nature, okay? I just finished my second level of prosecution for information. I'm into that. So, I know about these things.
Paano mo may papatunayan?
Teka muna, bago kayo magtanong may pagkain dyan ha, just in case ha, meron tayong palagok sa ng policy of DND and ABS-CBN.
Extended ang birthday ni Kuya.
Paano malalaman yung technological application mo harmonious na ito?
Ayun,
So, what are the laws of nature? Tell me. It's so easy. Opinion is cheapest commodity.
we are
What is the
warning.
law of nature that goes against it? Water will sink its own level. Number one. Water cannot occupy the same space at the same time. Sabi ng Quezon City, kayo lubog kami mataas. Kung dumating ang habagat, Quezon City lubog tayo. You know why? You know why? Because high tide, hindi makalabas doon, nabipila siya. Water cannot occupy the same space at the same time. Okay? 3. Water will flow from high to low, never from low to high. High to low, never from low to high. So you have to come at what cost? You know?
Genius. Beautiful.
That's the law of nature.
Yung nag-trigger ng earthquake sa Nepal. Yung nag-trigger ng earthquake sa Nepal. Galingan pala tayo sa
Kala yun, natahimik na si Robert. Genius yan.
I've seen UFOs. I went to Japan to study extraterrestrial technology. I'm into that. Okay, I know about scalar energy, I know about what one courses.
Ang Nepal, malapit sa Tibet, nandun ang nuclear warhead ng China. Nuclear protection na sila ng nuclear warhead. Inabot ng nuclear ang Nepal. And meron din dito sa from the Tibetan plateau, makakalaw sila ng
Ano kasi ang nature warning wala naman.
Bakit ang Nepal ang
Take maraming factors
So papunta tayo. We demand to answer it.
Diba?
puro mga
The question is not general, it's not relevant to the topic.
technological ng tao.
Ay, dumating na rin si Abet. Idjirani na siya sa baba.
This flooding.
Ano?
For your information, Nepal has more pyramids than Egypt. Number 2, right now, all the big guys are in Nepal. Only because IMF World Bank. You know that.
Oo nga.
See, IMF, come on.
Oo nga, why?
There's a reason for that.
Why?
Yeah, very quiet, very wala na
Okay. How come? Tell us.
Well, as you know, there are lots of movements right now. As you said, Vatican is transferring to Israel.
Ayan.
Okay, there you go.
Either by the end of this year or next year, for sure.
Things are happening up there.
Ano yun, Kuya Eric? Yung si Pope Francis will transfer his church sa Jerusalem.
Jerusalem.
That's confirmed.
That means
Watch
what?
it.
That means what?
What's the confluence of events?
A lot of things are happening.
Vatican will be destroyed by ISIS anytime now.
Ito mo sa Jerusalem.
It's all Christ by design. Okay.
But the biggest problem right now is water. I cannot just expound, really, water is very important.
Pero Robert, meron yung chemical na hinahalo sa, ginamit ng mga...
Sa salt water?
Yung chemical na hinahalo sa... Yung water, ginamit yung mga sa ilalim.
Datu, halika. I'd like to acknowledge the arrival of Datu Abraham J. Okay.
So any other question? Like that, silver yun.
Alam ko yung sinasabi mo, hindi ko lang matandaan yung pinaka-technical term.
So we can use that.
Yeah, with energy, with the variety.
Talaga? Okay. Okay, pagteka ko muna, Robert, at to get back to you. At usapin itong ating dami nangyari, Datu. At mukhang may bagong information na nililigawan na kayo ngayon sa atin din ng Malaysia. Totoo ba yun?
Dati na yan.
Nakita nila, sumasabit na yung blunder nitong mga MILF leaders at malaking problema. So they need the support of the MNLF because MNLF has the support of the OIC.
There was an sabi na pinadala from Malaysia. But that was the dialogue maybe to fathom the deep of our position. So we presented our three original plans. These plans, as we have always said, is dedicated to the Filipino people. Number one is that we told the representative or the Misabi na kung halimbawa if we want to achieve comprehensive solution to the problem Sabah, kinakailangan i-install ang Sultan ng Sulu as Sultan ng Sabah. Number two, in order para hindi questionable ang ating sinseridad at kanilang sinseridad ay sinabi natin we have to discuss about power sharing. Now, in this regard, gaya rin ng inimbita tayo ni Kiram Pharma last week sa ABS-CBN at sinabi natin along this position, kung sabi natin sa kanila, there must be two houses in the parliament or in the state assembly. Comprising number one, the House of Commons, whose members would be elected by the people to elect their chief minister. And number two, as we have informed Madam Kiram Pharma in the presence of a member of the Peace Council, that there must be also another house na ang tawag like the Parliament in England, the House of Commons. Whereby, ang iniisip natin dito, hindi lang kapakanan ng Sultanate of Sulu, but including the inhabitants in Sabah. So, since Sabah is comprised of about 28 ethnic groups. Now, along that line, sabi natin sa kanila, the Council of Elders of each tribe will choose their representative, sole representative to be submitted, whose name to be submitted to the Sultan of Sabah. And then the Sultan of Sabah will submit those names to the Parliament or the State Assembly for approval by the members of the Parliament. So, yun ang ano natin. Now, pangatlo, ang sabi natin sa kanila, that we should not discuss anymore about yung repayment of whatever development yung not mutually accepted by the Sultan of Sulu. But we will now talk about royalty fee.
Alin?
Royalty fee. Royalty fee.
Yun, royalty fee.
So sabi natin, if because ang balita na narinig natin about $100 billion ang income ng Sabah. So along that line, sabi natin sa kanila na if you were give the Sultanate of Sulu 10 to 15%, that would not be intended for the family alone. That would be allocated for the development of inhabitants in Sabah, Tawi-Tawi, Sulu, Basilan, Zamboanga Peninsula, Palawan, mainland Mindanao, including Luzon and Visayas. Kaya nga ang sabi natin, dedicated to the Filipino people. So yun ang prinsipyo natin. And then another, ang sabi pa natin sa kanila, please convey our position to the Prime Minister yung tungkol sa anak ni Sultan Ismail Kiram II at ang kanyang asawa na hanggang ngayon ay nasa preso pa na tingnan mabuti. And also we appeal to the Department of Foreign Affairs na sana to also convey to the message to Ambassador Itmalaya na to do something naman to assist the plight of not only of the son of Sultan Ismail Kiram II but including all the sapagkat sa ngayon ang hindi natin nalalaman, aside from the news we already reported to two major newspapers na nagkaroon na naman ng summary rounding up of the Filipino refugees in Sabah by the Sabah Eastern, by ISCOM, meaning Eastern Sabah Security Command. Now, on May 1st, buhat sa tawag sa atin from Sandakan during the congregation prayer of Muslims in Kilometer 8, Sandakan, nagkaroon naman ng rounding up of the Filipino people of Sulu ancestry na while praying ay sila ay hinuli ng mga Eastern Police, Eastern Sabah Security Command.
Alam mo, matindi ngayon sa Sabah, kahit na yung mga members of parliament ng opposition, inuhuli na walang warrant of arrest. Iba ngayon, parang martial ngayon sa Sabah. I was invited last month to go there. Hindi ako pumunta. Akala ko ipitin. Ipitin ako. Dahil lagi natin bisita si Abit eh. Baka mamaya ay tingita ko kay Abit. Yun na. Isa pa, kailangan kilala akong kaibigan ko ang Mianwal eh. Yan pa ito sa problema. So, any questions? Chairman? Right.
Well, anong mangyayari, Steph? Wala na pagka sa gobyerno na ilaban itong tapang ito, talagang sumalisa na ito. Meron pa bang way?
Meron no, kasi I don't know how reliable is the source. But a member of the Royal Security Force ng Sultanate of Sulu called us out 2 days ago na nagkaroon na naman ng parilan doon sa kilometer 32 that is a crossroad to Sabah and Datu. So yun ang tawag from now. As far as the Sultanate of Sulu is concerned, we always advocate for the peaceful resolution of the issue. But, meron din hangganan ang ating position. In fact, we have proven that in the 2013 na pumunta doon ang Royal Security Forces para to stay permanently and peacefully in the area in order to live, to coexist with the inhabitants. Ngunit Malaysia does not want to have the presence of any members of the Sultanate or constituents of the Sultanate in the area sapagkat sila ay hanggang ngayon tinatago nila ang historical facts na sila ay hindi nagmamayari ng area. Now, we keep on exploring the possibility somehow we can convince one sovereign nation to assist us in the petition of 2004 we submitted to the United Nations, kung saan 3 months later nagkaroon ng reply from the International Court of Justice indicating na sabi niya, because the Sultanate of Sulu is already a private entity, that is one of the reasons why yung petition ninyo hindi matakel. Kailangan ang endorsement of one sovereign nation para talakay ng issue.
May naman ako well, yung BBA, talagang tak-tak talagang nangyayari. Mostly yung Altos Law sila talagang aalit sila. So anong bakit ko? Anong maaaring gawin ng MLN? Sabi ng MLN, kinakabahan sila dito sa pagbaklas dito sa BBA, pero may nagdabahan sa wall. Parang, ano ito ba? Kaya mas direct sa kanila yung bawasan yung power kaysa sa yung actual na laban. Bakit?
Alam mo, before I will answer that question, kapatid, we have tasted war. In other words, the people of Balitaan Sulu Archipelago have been in war for more than 300 years against Spain. Since 13 years of massive engagement with the United States forces, that is from 1976 to 1913, and then the Japanese fight it 4 years, and then after the declaration of the Third Philippine Republic, hanggang nag-i-autos ang mga kamag-anak natin, tumaban sa gobyerno, and then came up the Manila War. But pag-uusapan, if we're recall history, I would say with all humility and apology na walang dumanas ng sacrifices kung hindi pa sa Sulu people. Yung mga sinasabi ng mga mainland, they have been in war. Ang sabi ng military, if there is a battle, sabi niya, in mainland Mindanao, na tatagal ng more than 1 hour, surely manatausog na ang nangyari. But if it's only about 30 minutes ang tagal, walang tausog na sumasama dyan. In other words, I am saying, it's easy for us to say, hindi madali sa amin ang giyera, mahirap ang BBL. Now, next week, during the Senate committee hearing, we were informed that Senator Marcos' committee hearing on local government is inviting the Sultanate of Sulu to shape their position regarding the BBL. So dito, ang makikita namin dito sa BBL is really about exterminating the rights of the Sultanate of Sulu and the Filipino people over Sabah. Yan lang ang nakikita namin. Sapagkat ay including the positions of the Sultanate of Maguindanao, which we keep in touch every now and then. Na sabi nila, we also have the same position with the Sultanate of Sulu, kung saan I would like to reiterate na which the Sultanate of Sulu agree. There are 3 provisions of BBL na dito makikita mo talaga aalisin kahit anumang klaseng royalty dito. Samantala, ang pinag-usapan dito is about a form of government in the autonomous area that is parliamentary in character and in form. So, halimbawa, Article 6, Article 7, Article 8, Section 2, hindi ko naman masyadong walang naman, tungkol the creation of the Peace Council. Hindi tinalakay doon sa provision. Sino ba ang mga miyembro nito? Now, if we talk about this council,
I will keep it.
ito ay applying the United Nations mandate on the traditional conflict resolution management. Kinakailangan ang mga traditional or historic institution to comprise the Peace Council. The Council of Peace Council. Ngunit, I want to kung bakit hindi tinalakay on the side of the EMILF members of the Bangsamoro Transition Commission na yun ang dapat ilagay doon mga historic institution like the Sultanate of Maguindanao, Sultanate of Buhayan, Sultanate of Lanao, sapagkat nobody can deny, the EMILF or the MNLF cannot deny that their struggle is founded on the historic sovereignty of these sultanates. So, now another provision is about yung wali. Yung wali. Hindi rin siya na sinabi doon. Ano ba ang kahulugan ng wali? Ito na bahas sa tausong, iyakan, sama tawi-tawi, sama bangingi, sama makon, sama law, meaning inhabitants in the archipelago. Ang kahulugan ng wali ay, halimbawa may grow akong anak na babae, pakasalan ng anak ng isang lalaki. Hindi ho sila makasal kung hindi ho ibibigay ang aking consent, meaning wali. Now, in the parliamentary form, lalong-lalo na in the position of the Prime Minister, cannot function effectively, legally, meaning cannot start his function and responsibility hanggat ang kanyang title is being conferred and declared or announced by the Sultan or by the Sultan, Paramount Sultan of Malaysia. Now, dito sa wali, sa BBR, ito ang mag-a-announce to confer the title officially to the incoming Chief Minister. So, doon sa BBR, hindi rin nila binanggit specifically sino ba itong mga wali. Is it Malaysia? So if the Moro Islamic Liberation Liberation Front does not want to be remembered by the Filipino people that the MILF is a revolutionary group that allows the external force to intervene in the internal affairs of the country, dapat i-define nila kung sino ang wali. Ngunit hindi na-define doon. So these are some of the concerns which we would like to bring into the attention of the committee of Senator Marcos, this coming committee hearing.
Sige, kopi ka muna siya. Kopi muna.
Question?
Di ka natin
Dato, assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
I understand the sad plight of our kababayan in Sabah, no? Talagang nakakalungkot dahil hindi natutulungan natin gobyerno, no? Ang Sultanate ba of Sulu is recognized by the OIC?
Kung recognition ang pag-usapan, hindi mo, only Professor Normis Wari, until now is recognized as a permanent representative and observer in the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Kaya nga, before answering that question, I am not speaking in behalf of the Moro National Liberation Front, pero ayon sa chairman ng MNLF Islamic Command Council na the interposed objection to the usage of the term comprehensive. Ang sabi ng MNLF doon sa Davao meeting 2 weeks ago, the OIC is mislead over the usage of this term comprehensive. Sapagkat sabi nga, wala kaming nakikita the participation of the Moro National Liberation Front, the Christian and the Indigenous, hanggat sabi niya, hindi naging talakayan ng national media and leaders in Manila. So dito, but now, at present, nababasa natin sa Diaryo, sa pahayagan, na even the MNLF now believes that the only way to achieve their political aspiration is following the event that took place during the more than 400 years reign of the Sultan of Sulu. Yun lang, sabi nila. So, that's why the Sultanate of Sulu is not exactly isolating. But since 1935, the Sultanate of Sulu never manifested violent expression of sentiments against our government. Yun pa rin ang position ng Sultanate of Sulu, to maintain that position. Kaya nga, we are not isolating from the MNLF. However, we would like to inform the MNLF na gaya ng sinabi ni yung spokesman nila si Brother Absalom, na they are in agreement with the Sultanate of Sulu as far as Sabah is concerned, that it belongs to the Sultanate of Sulu as manifested na hanggang ngayon, sabi niya, Malaysia is paying rent to the Sultan of Sulu.
Kaya ko po natatanong yan, kasi maraming member ng Royal Army ay MNLF, hindi ba?
Ang MNLF is separate, what do you call that, operation in terms of yung military from the Royal Security Forces. However, the saying goes, sabi ng mga matanda pa sa atin, sabi niya, we cannot divide the water in a bowl, sabi niya. So, as far as the Sultanate of Sulu is concerned, doon sa Sabah issue, hindi natin mapipigilan, hindi sila tumutulong. Hindi sila tutulong ang ibig kong sabihin. Sapagkat, by blood ay magkamag-anak. Secondly, nakikita nila because they were misled by Malaysia in 1968 after the eruption of the Jambita massacre, na ginamit silang proxy. Proxy, the word is proxy, to distract the focus of the Philippine government towards the Sabah claim pending resolution ng Sabah. Na-realize nila because becoming proxy ng Malaysia, maraming nag-suffer sa Sabah. In fact, the sufferings of the Sabah, of the Filipino people in Sabah is caused by their agreement to become proxy of Malaysia in 1968. So, ito, siguro, naiisip ng mga kamag-anak nila na nahirapan, the only way for us to get revenge is to help the Sultanate of Sulu of their aspiration. Sapagkat maliwanag, aside from that elements, maliwanag sa taga-Sulu that ang fight ng anak ni Sultan Bunjungan Kiram, who were Sultan Jamalu Kiram III, hanggang pababa, ay hindi personal interest para sa mapakanan ng taong bayan ng sambayan ng Pilipino.
Kayo ho ba ay dahil para napabayaan ng gobyerno natin, ano, yung claim sa Sabah, di ba? Ngayon, hindi nyo ba inauthorize ang MNLF na siyang mag-represent sa inyo?
Hindi ho, sapagkat after we withdrew the Sultanate of Sulu under the leadership of late Sultan Jamalu Kiram III and now 34th Sultan Ismail Kiram II. Pagkatapos natin withdraw ang authority issued to the Philippine government in 1989, wala na tayong binigyan ng authority ngayon.
Wala na?
Wala na ho.
Ganun no. Kasi may nabasa ako na parang merong authority ang MNLF to represent you eh.
Wala ho, except that the MNLF is unilaterally claiming dahil doon sa blood relation ni Professor Miswari, which most Tausug are vehemently denying that, na because of blood relation to Maas Iliji, because si Iliji ay isa sa mga warriors among the 44 pumunta sa Sabah na binigay ng Sultan of Brunei ang Sabah sa Sultan of Sulu. Except that unilateral claim, hindi mo nag-claim ang Sultan ito, ang Moro National Liberation.
Kaya ko po natanong ho, kasi ang katayuan ngayon ng mga kababayan natin sa Sulu ay inihain ninyo sa United Nations. Pero parang walang aksyon, ano? Ngayon, hindi ba pwedeng ihain yan ng MNLF sa OIC para matingnan yung katayuan dyan? Ha? Para mapakialaman na, dahil mga Muslim yan Muslim against Muslim. Hindi ba pwede na ihain ninyo, humingi ng tulong sa MNLF?
Yan mo ang nagiging loophole doon sa MNLF. Upon the creation of the Organization of Islamic Conference, as a background, Malaysia immediately proposed for the creation of a body in the OIC to become as information conduit ng mga aspirations and sentiments of Muslims against its country as well. So, one of those who submitted is the MNLF. Their sentiments against our government, the government of the Republic. Now, during the meeting, I think about 4 months ago, of the MNLF OIC meeting in Makati, sa Davao 2 weeks ago. Tayo ay nagkaroon ng opportune time na imbitahan ng Organization of Islamic Conference para mag-usap tungkol sa Sabah issue. And we already submitted our positions regarding that. The MNLF, ang ginawa ng MNLF, like Malaysia, was a third-party facilitator. Para magkaroon tayo ng conference or meeting with the representative of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Ito yung mga sinasabi ko mga unclassified pa ito sa inyo. Naging classified sa ngayon.
Sabi natin, you cannot resolve the problem. You cannot offer a solution without defining the problem first. It has been my observation that a lot of people, and even leaders of and senators, they view the Sabah issue and the Sultanate of Sulu issue from a contemporary history. And I don't think we can really resolve this problem unless we go back beyond the popular time frame of history, which is 1521. The Sultanate of Sulu was founded sometime 1400, something like that. And it has been toyed around by the United States, Great Britain, Germany, and all that. And people are not aware of these things. How they emasculated the Sultanate, which was actually the seat of government in these islands, And recalling the statement of Marcos when he said, this nation will be great again. I was trying to find out whether from the time I was born, there was greatness in this country. See? And there was a song by the Cascades, they say, there must be a reason. I'd like to know why. So I started, researching and all that. And for more than 30 years, since the time of that concept of Makilindo, I was already, asking myself, why Makilindo? Why, people from Mindanao is pushing for this Makilindo? It is a socialist movement there. I have not seen anything in the book that we read in Philippine history. So, now we are again talking about, Palawan, Basilan, Sabah, and all that. Unfortunately, people, and even our leaders, are not aware of the historicity of the case of the Sultanate. And so going back to that great again, I realized that the greatness of this country, which were then called Maharlika, it has attained its greatness during the Srivijaya and the Majapahit Empire. Unfortunately, majority of the people, even our leaders, I doubt, even the president perhaps, is ignorant of these things. Now, I started reading the book, and I thank you so much. This would be a very good contribution for the understanding the historicity of our country. Unfortunately, I think you have only produced about 5-15 copies. No? I would suggest that this, you look for a sponsor that at least those who are majoring in history, and even the Commission on Historical Institute or whatever, should have copies of this. You know, you have to make this book available because this actually contains even the contracts, the treatises, you know, the agreements, etc. No? During the olden times, which are not known to majority of the Filipino people. I don't think we can offer a good solution to the problem in Mindanao unless we go back to history. Because that's the only way that we can diagnose the entire problem. So, my question now is, how do we go about this? I mean, let us start from the basic. Yeah. You have just said that, you know, Bongbong will have a meeting about this thing, you know. And I don't know if Bongbong has read or even had a copy of this book.
Before I will reply the question, unang-una ko, kaya hindi tayo humahanap ng sponsor because one of the obstacles na nakikita natin, kung hanggat yung idea sinulat natin, ay papalitan nila. Oo. So kaya nga nag-stage tayo muna hanggat katulad mo, Pro, maraming salamat na na-appreciate mo yung sinusulat natin. Ang sabi ho ni Senator Cayetano, I will expose the second chapter. Di ba yun ang sinabi mo? Lately, we meet him, binigyan natin siya ng kopya ng aklat na yan. In about 7 days, natapos niya, according to him, pinasa yan. In another meeting again with Senator Bongbong Marcos, which I hope, Eric, na kailangan natin isang araw, even hindi itong ganitong program, maipresenta natin ang PowerPoint na kung saan yung lahat ng sinulat natin ay nandun na. From there, we can analyze kung ano ang basic approach sapagkat ang Sultan ito, Sulu, as of the moment dito sa Manila, mag-isa lang po ako, nag-iisip kung paano gagawin niya. No. So, yan, ang nagawa natin ganyan lang because I have to be candid and honest because of my devotion to the issue since 1984 nang nakasana kami ni Mrs. I refuse to accept government positions sapagkat ang iniisip ko, kahiya-hiya naman sa sarili ko, nagtatrabaho ko sa gobyerno tapos ang pinapakain ko sa mga anak ko, sa asawa ko, ay galing sa pera ng gobyerno. Now, in that, sabi ko, magkakaroon ng basihan na dapat huwag akong magsabi ng kung ano-ano sa gobyerno sapagkat ang kinakain ko ay galing sa gobyerno.
Correct.
So,
tama yan.
Since 1994, which if modesty aside, while doing tulong for the job, kahit ho, filing 12 lang, tatanggapin ako ng gobyerno. Now, in fact, many leaders in that time na urged me and endorsed me for political and career positions, pero hindi ko tinanggap. Now, the position of the Sultanate of Sulu in approaching the problem is intertwining the ancient events and the contemporary reality. Now,
Chairman, balik na lang. Para yan.
Sorry, sir. Kasi
interrupt. Sige.
One of the examples na ginagawa natin is about kung isosolve lang ang South China Sea by contemporary reality. In other words, by merely invoking the United Nations Convention Law of the Sea, ay matatalo pa rin ang Pilipinas, I am sure. But if we go back to 1405, kung saan nagkaroon ng treaty in the status of an independent tributary states between the Sultanate of Sulu and China, then we can ease the tension that is now going on in this practice. Sapagkat noong 1995, bumisita si Sultan Ismail Kiram II. Ang sinabi ng Secretary General ng Politburo of China, sabi niya, pirmahan mo lang itong certification that your great-great-great-great-grandfather donated Spratly to the Ming Dynasty. Ang sabi niya sa akin, pag sumama ka lang siguro, mapipilit akong pirmahan yung certification. And we will do everything to support you to repose Sabah, sabi niya. Pero hindi niya ginawa out of loyalty to the government of the Republic. So, dito naman, sinasabi natin, what happened in 1900 when Spain nakita niya na mali ang coordinates in defining the territorial boundary of the Philippines. So sabi niya, Cagayan de Sulu and Cebu Island were not included in the Treaty of Paris. So ang ginawa, nagkaroon ng cession of underlying islands between Spain and the United States. Binayaran ng Castilla, ang gobyernong Castilla, ng $100,000 ang United States, binayaran ng United States ang
Espanya,
Castilla,
Spain.
Yes, ng $100,000 para i-renounce niya ang kanyang de facto government over those territories. Kaya nga, ang nakapagtataka, nung sumadsad ang guardianship ng Amerika, United States Navy, bakit hindi agad-agad ng bayad ng environmental damage doon sa Tubatahari? It's because that Tubatahari is part of the Cagayan de Sulu. So invoking, sana may abogado tayo dito, invoking the principle of yung purchase rights, meaning yung binayaran ang Cebu at Cagayan de Sulu ng Amerikano hanggang ngayon, may karapatan pa ng United States of America over that
area
islands sapagkat binili niya
sa Espanya.
Spain. That's why the Sultanate of Sulu is always invoking for the 1915 Kiram Carpenter Agreement. So the basic is, ang lagi ko nagsinasabi ngayon, let us not discuss the issue with the Philippine government, but let us discuss the issue of number one with the United States of America, with Great Britain, to be witnessed by Germany, Spain, Holland, and Netherlands. Yun o ang ano natin ngayon.
Sige, Maestro, go ahead.
I made an extensive study of this, I think more than anyone in this room, because I was an aide-de-camp for a very long time of former Ambassador Emmanuel Pelaez, who is the brain in 1962 for whatever the Philippines is now to the Sultanate. I beg to disagree with the discussion, because the solution to this problem is not in the historical, is not in the legal. History, we can talk about it the whole day and still end up with the moral question, ano ba gusto mo? Kwento o debate? So it just goes around and around. It's also not in the legal, because we cannot expect Malaysia to legally confront the issue. We have an ignorant president who does not know the law about agreements. And so invoking the law is also innocuous. The solution is in the proper definition of the problem. The problem is the de facto occupation of Malaysia of Sabah. This, even the Malaysians are not denying. They are paying rent. So the solution to this problem is in the future. What do I see in my crystal ball? Never in the history of Malaysia has it been so vulnerable to losing not only Sabah but the entire federation. The Chinese Malaysians are rebelling against Najib Razak, and even Muhammad Mahathir is already complaining about Najib openly since 2010. Sabah and Sarawak feels alienated from Putrajaya, the seat of government of Malaysia, and itself almost ripe for a rebellion. So the solution to this is not in our strength, but in Malaysia's weakness. The solution to this is neither in the Philippine government. Because the Philippine government, by even talking about the Bangsamoro law, is placing the Sultanate and its people, Bangsa Suluk, as third-class citizens of this country. Second-class citizens to the Bangsamoro, third-class citizens to the Filipino. So, it's a very simple solution. With this weakness, and at the same time the strength that the Sultanate has already shown with Raja Muda's not only heroism but fighting prowess, and considering that most of the people of Sabah are Tausuks anyway, what is the Sultanate thinking of doing next? And I'm not saying for the rest of this administration's term, because it's already ending, but I would like to think that it will be in collaboration with the next government. And what will be the role of China in this? Because China is not sympathetic to Malaysia. We already know the stand of the United States in territorial disputes. The official stand of the State Department is it remains neutral in all territorial disputes, be it in Malaysia or be it in the South China Sea. Now, the question is, sovereignty is only as good as you can defend it, a territory that you can occupy. We have to physically remove Malaysia from Sabah. That is the only solution. No other solution. And if the Sultanate is determined in this, I think the people of Mindanao and the Filipinos who are not loyal to this government are willing to fight for the Sultanate.
Yan. 100%. I support this statement.
Maraming salamat.
Yan ang tama.
Alam niyo, yung sinasabi ni kapatid Erick, reverse arrow, ay ngayon lang
na-realize.
na-manifest talaga.
Ngayon lang na-realize na.
The eruption of the 1968 Sabah issue, because of the propaganda ng Malaysia, lahat ng Pilipino ay nag-reverse ng paniwala. Ngayon, sa tulong ninyo, nag-reverse din ang paniwala ng sambayan ng Pilipino. Kung saan, in behalf of Sultan Ismail Kiram II, maraming salamat po. So, ngayon, tama ho ang sinabi na in fact, that was the reason why President Marcos in 1967 opted for the covert training of the 200 Pangsasunod youth. Sapagkat after the Philippine government challenged Malaysia to agree to bring the Sabah disputes to a proper tribunal, which is the International Court of Justice. Ang sabi ng Malaysia, yes, ngunit after consultation with the home government, ang sabi niya, retract your verbal agreement. Yes, problem. the Philippine panel. So that was the cause why President Marcos proposed for undertaking a covert military training operation. Unfortunately, meron kaming narinig na I don't know how reliable this information is. Too late for a hero like Senator Benigno Aquino to realize na yung Jabida training, ang akala ho niya, ang sabi sa amin about Amantico, was intended for to commit terrorist act during the election. Saka lang nalaman niya na that was intended for Sabah.
Can I add to that?
Yes, yes.
The truth of the matter, incidental lang na nandun sa bahay nila. Because the information really came from Marcelino. During that time, supposed to be list of the record, during that time, ang boyfriend kay Doña Pasita Carvajal Roses ay si Major Marcelino. Nung nagpaalam si Major Marcelino kay Doña Pasita doon sa mismong apartment na inuupahan nila, topless nila, na apartment ni Ariel Mocobo sa Balate. That was the reason, nung namuwi si Doña Pasita sa bahay, naikwento niya sa asawa niya kay Chino Roses. Without the knowledge of Doña Pasita, may good morning, na si Roses naman very close naman sa mother ni Ninoy, na byuda noon during the time. So when he went to the house dito sa Times, sa bahay nila, nandun si Ninoy. Naikwento rin ni Chino kay Doña Aurora na papasukin na yung Sabah. Bakit ko alam ito? Because I was part of the young group of MNLF during that time. Kaya alam ko lahat ng sekreto because I was part of that group before.
The 9 nights,
Ayan, correct. You see? Ayan ang historia, kaya nagulat si Ninoy. Wala siyang kabang-bang dito, walang nakakaalam dito. Yung historia niya. Kaya ako, malapit ako sa mga hierarchy ng MNLF because I've been part of that group before. See?
So, let me respectfully challenge now the media to help the Sultanate of Sulu in inviting the attention of most influential nations sapagkat katulad halimbawa na China. Actually, we have communication with mga private personalities sa China. Ngunit, we still do not want to explore this. Yan ang katotohanan. Yan ang katotohanan. The reason of which is we centered our discussion on the graveyard of the Sultan of Sulu in Shandong province, China. So dito, my apology, I cannot classify what is in my heart now. Sapagkat hindi pa tamang panahon, but ang masasabi ko lang, what crippled the Sultanate of Sulu is its financial capacity to travel to friendly nations to advocate this kind of position. Kung meron lang kakayahan ng Sultanate of Sulu, right now, we can gather. Right now, give us only 1 month time, a minimum of 5,000 people willing to dedicate their lives. Because they believe in the cause of the Sultanate of Sulu and the voice of the Filipino people. Ngayon naririnig ka ng taga-Sulu Pasilan, Tawi-Tawi, sa Buanga Peninsula, Palawan. Hindi kagaya noon ang naririnig ng mga tao noon. The people in Manila, most of them are against the Sabah. Ngayon ang naririnig nila yung positive reaction of people. So sa ngayon, really, tama yung sinabi. If we talk about historical and legal possessions of the Sultanate, wala nang tayong pag-uusapan kung strength ang babanggitin. We have all the legal and historical, the validity of our historic and legal rights over this. Ang kulang lang sa Sultanate of Sulu is to strengthen the physical structure of the Sultanate of Sulu for this cause.
Kaya batin, no, Abet. Alam mo, sa tagal na ng dealings ko with election Sultanate, for so long, lahat ng mga claimant, lahat yan kaibigan ko, no? Ang hindi nakikita na ka ng loyalty, and they're not getting their act together. Dapat malinis na yung mga house show, yung mga claimant na ginagamit ng mga foreign groups. Dahil hanggang meron mga claimants kuno na wala naman sila sa bloodline, ay yan ang malaking problema. Walang pagkakaiba yan sa mga house show ng mga anak ni Marcos kunyari, na ilan na pinakulong ko sa abroad. Kung hindi pa nag-a-abroad itong mga fake sons of Marcos, hindi makukulong sa labas. Dahil dito, well-connected sa police, NBI, so many law enforcement units natin. Ito ganito rin eh. Dapat high time na, you have to make a press release, magkaroon kayo ng convention, para magkaalaman na for once kung sino talaga yung nasa bloodline. Kasi kung hindi ka merong Hashemite. Kung nagkaroon ng Hashemite dito?
Hashemite, Usma. Usma.
Kaya, ito makikita na talagang it's designed para to confuse all of us. Hanggang sa wala nang maniwala, wala nang bibili ng
Alam niyo,
6.
this is a never-ending story committed by Malaysia. Sapagkat this is the only way, lalo na ngayon, alam na nila, Filipino people are behind. This all of Filipino people are behind. Gumagawa sila ng mga ganitong pangyayari. Sapagkat, gaya ng sinabi ni brother kanina, if we talk about the legality, the issue on who is the real Kiram ay tapos na ho, na-resolve noong 1939. No less than by the British High Sessions Court of Sandakan. The decision of the British Court recognized the late Sultan Punjungan Kiram as the administrator of the territory of Sabah. Number 2, mandating the British North Borneo Company and the British government to continue rendering the annual rental payment. Kung yun ang pag-uusapan.
Talking about the rental payment, Abel, yung ka magagulat, yung mga fake claimants, meron din silang rental payment eh. Paano mo mapoproblem yan? Kasi na-house show.
Ganito eh.
May solusyon ako dyan.
Bago magsalita sa kapatid. Alam mo, sa dami na nang pinalabas natin, Xerox copy. Ay madaling gawin ngayon. The littering, everything, madali na gawin dyan sa kwan. Computer lang yan. Now, kahit ano pa ang gagawin natin, we can never stop this sapagkat ito ang role ng Malaysia.
We can stop this. Hindi pwedeng wait. Nandito tayo eh. Violate natin ito. Bakit na natin may station?
Sandali. But with the help,
United Front lang.
With the help of you, of the media. Kasi walang kakaya ng Sultan ito. Number 2, ito ang gusto ng Malaysia because pag halimbawa ang pinirma ng resolution ay pitso talo na tayo sa United States. Talo na tayo. So that's why ito ay kahit ano pa ang gagawin ng Sultan of Sulu, wala na siyang magagawa because right now, ilan na naman ang Sultan sa Sulu? Just last week, 2 naman ang sumupong. Dalawa naman ang sumupong.
Talagang pareho nga ng mga Texas at Marcos yan eh.
Unless ang sultan nitong sunod ay may kakayahan, and it would decide for an extreme solution. Yun na lang siguro.
Alam mo si Maestro, makakatulong dito eh.
Alam mo siya ang solusyon dyan.
Ang puso.
Revolutionary government of Sabah. Whoever occupies Sabah and removes the Malaysians has the same. Just as whoever removes this government, no, will have the say of putting up the next government. Ano lang yan eh. It's either through the bullet or the balo. Diba? Ang tawag ko dyan, management by velocity. The fallacy is, everybody wants everybody to be united. That's impossible. Everybody wants to move only after everybody is united. That's doubly impossible. And that is the fake fallacy that the oligarchs and the ruling class of this country has been telling us. Let's unite, Filipinos, let's unite! Let's unite behind Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao loses. But if Manny Pacquiao wins, we are all united. Huh? Now, who has the first crack? Raja Muda is already there. Sino pa susuporta ko? Yung dalawang sultan na sumulpot lang last week? O si Raja Muda na nandun na? And I'm not a Muslim. I'm not a Tausu. But I'm willing to enlist in this liberation movement of Sabah. Okay? Because it's the righteous thing to do. To correct history and to enforce the rule of law internationally, nationally, here and in Sabah. If we don't move, something else will happen. Sarawak is already venting towards the Indonesia. The Kuala Lumpur is already venting towards Singapore because they're Chinese. Kanino mapupunta Sabah? Sa US mapupunta Sabah.
Even Sarawak, Chinese.
See? Sa US mapupunta yan, kaya nga pumuporma na dyan with the US IP. Ano ba palagi ninyong ginagawa ng US with the Malaysians in sponsoring this Bobo law, this Bangsa Boro law? What do you think it is doing? It's using a counterpoise to China under us so that if something happens to the passage in the South China Sea, doon sila lulusot.
Correct.
At bukod pa yung oil, bukod pa yung deuterium, bukod pa whatever it is. Sa US, pupunta yan. Okay? And I hope in the next weeks, pag-usapan naman dito yung EDCA. Dahil I have a lot to say about it also.
Next week.
Okay, so, anyway, yung po akin, no? Management by velocity. He who will declare that revolutionary de facto government there and install the de jure government, which is the Sultanate of Sulu, rules. Everybody else will have to fall in line before the throne.
Okay. Last statement from Abel.
I fully agree with the position of our brother. As far as my position is concerned as Secretary General, tama yung sinabi niya, we need to diverge what I am not authorized. But as far as our meeting with the Malaysian emissary is concerned, his last word was, ito ang sinabi niya, can you assure as Secretary General that there will be no second wave? That will now. So is
sana sinagot mo. I can assure you there will be no third wave.
Ang sabi ko, ganito. As far as the bansa sumuktikan, sumukposo, iyakan, tauso, sama bangingin, sama tawi-tawi, sama tawi jamamapo, ang Christian Church sabi. Alam mo, ang study namin, hindi kami lumanabay pag ang kalaban ay nakatalig.
Sa bandai ni David yan.
We were informed, Malaysia, we were, sabi ko magkakaroon. Pag definitely magkakaroon yan sapagkat mga kapatid. Ang tawag lagi sa akin after the day Sultan ano ang needs mo? Yan lang sa akin. Now, I have a distant cousins of nearly 500 to 700. They are fully armed. Itong mga inumento ng energy, I want ko kung nakita ninyo while you were writing everything. Karawan Barangay where Datu Abu was shot dead by the drone of the military. Doon sa are willing to dedicate their lives. Tama yung sabi niya. Because ang nangyayari ngayon, wala nang right cause to die except to die fully reposition of Sabah. Ito, yan ang ngunit, again, tulungan ninyo kami na ang kailangan namin ito. Ito ang kailangan namin. Hindi dito natin sa mga kailangan namin. So, this is how you can help us. Hindi yung humanap nito. Pero, how to establish ang contact, permanent contact, truist contact, hindi yung contact na with other nations. Thank you very much.
Okay, with that, I'd like to thank our guest, Datu Idjirani and Robert Marin for educating us here. At sorry, hindi nabating yung dalawa pang guest natin, maganda sana yung bakbakan. Pero at least, productive itong araw natin today. Thank you. See you next time. At happy birthday nga pala kay Archie Almeda. Para si Archie, may post birthday ako. Daming pagkain dito.
Archie, ah!
Kaya wala may tanduay. May tanduay dyan, may tanduay.
Mana?
Padala mo na. Padala mo na ngayon. Oy, ngayon na.
Amen.
Di ba inom?
Beauty.
Ako sila kayo. Lalaklas ako.
Hi. Ano ba yan? Nakarecord ba?